back to my channel. I'm Katie, just in case you don't know who I am, but you can also call me Dinky, whichever, I don't mind. And I'm going to be carrying on with my mini-series about serial killers. If this is your thing, then please do stick around, and I hope you enjoy this video. But if it's not your cup of tea, then go and check out my previous videos and see what you like there instead. There's beauty, vlogs, EDS, disability awareness, and there's even a few like concert type videos. So go and check them out instead. I don't mind. Now today's focus, I'm going to be focusing in on Aileen Wuornos. And she's probably one of the most prolific serial killers of all time, especially a female one. And I'm going to be telling you a little bit about her in today's video. Wuornos was born Aileen Carol Pittman in Troy, Michigan on the 29th of February 1956. Diane, Wuornos' mother, was 14 when she met Aileen's father. He was 16 years old, and the day they married was the 3rd of June 1954. Aileen had an older brother who was a year older, called Keith. After less than 2 years and 2 months before Aileen was born, Diane filed for divorce from Aileen's father. Aileen had never met her father as he was incarcerated at the time of her birth. Her father was diagnosed with schizophrenia. He was later convicted of sex crimes against children, and then he committed suicide by hanging in prison on 30th January 1969. In January 1960, Diane abandoned her children and left them with their grandparents, Laurie and Britta Wuornos, and they legally adopted Keith and Aileen on the 18th of March 1960. Aileen's grandmother was an alcoholic, and her grandfather was very violent, and I think he was also an alcoholic as well. Wuornos later stated that her grandfather had sexually and physically abused her, and she had sexual relations with her brother. When Wuornos was 11 years old, she began to engage in sexual activities in school for exchange for cigarettes, drugs and food. In 1970, Wuornos was 14 years old, and she found herself pregnant after being raped by a grandfather's acquaintance, not sure who exactly. And she gave birth to a baby boy, and she was forced to give him away. She had him at an unwed mother's unit. Aileen soon dropped out of school, around the same time that her grandmother had died of liver failure. When Aileen was 15 years old, her grandfather had threw her out, and she started supporting herself by being a prostitute and living in the woods near her old home. When Wuornos was 18 years old, on the 27th of May 1974, she was arrested in Jefferson County, which was in Colorado, for driving under the influence, disorderly conduct, and firing a .22 caliber pistol from a moving vehicle. She was later charged with failure to appear. In 1976, Wuornos hitchhiked away to Florida, where she met 69-year-old Yacht President Club President Louis Graffel. They married quickly. Wuornos continued to involve herself in confrontations at their local bar, and she went to jail briefly for assault. Aileen also hit Felt with his own cane, and this led him to get a restraining order against her within weeks of getting married to one another. Wuornos returned back to Michigan, where on the 14th of July 1976, she was arrested again in Antrim County, charged with assault and disturbing the peace for throwing a cue ball at a bartender in the head. On 17th of July, her brother Keith had died of esophagus cancer, and Wuornos received $10,000 of his inheritance money. Wuornos and Phil annulled their marriage on the 21st of July after only 9 weeks. So it's obviously a very violent, very confrontational marriage. You know, you can see that she has anger problems already. And this is supposed to be somebody that she cared about. In August 1976, Wuornos was given a $105 fine for drunk driving. She used her brother's money to pay for this and spent the rest of the money on luxuries like buying a new car, which she wrecked not long after. Wuornos was arrested in Edgewater, Florida on May 20th, 1981. I'm sorry, I remember that wrong way. For the armed robbery of a convenience store where she stole $35, 2 packets of cigarettes, and she was sentenced to prison for this on May 4th, 1982, and released on June 30th, 1983. On 1st of May, again she was arrested for attempting to pass forged checks at a bank in Key West. On November 30th, 1985, Wuornos was named as a suspect in the theft of a revolver and ammunition in Pasco County. On January 4th, 1986, Aileen was again arrested in Miami and charged with car theft, resisting arrest, and obstruction of justice providing ID of her aunt's name. Miami police officers found a .38 caliber revolver and a box of spare ammo in the stolen car. On June 2nd, 1986, Volusia County deputy sheriffs detained Wuornos for questioning after a male companion accused her of pulling a gun in his car and demanding $200 ammo, and police discovered a .22 pistol under the passenger seat where Wuornos was sitting. And this is when Wuornos met Tyra, I'm not sure how you say her name, Miller, and she was a hotel maid at Daytona Beach gay bar, and they quickly moved in together, and Wuornos supported them with her earnings as a prostitute. Both Wuornos and Miller were detained July 4th, 1987 for questioning regarding an incident in which they were accused of assault and battery with a beer bottle. On March 12, 1988, Wuornos accused a Daytona Beach bus driver of assault. She claimed that he pushed her off the bus following a confrontation, and Miller was listed as a witness in the incident. Now I'm going to be talking about the murders. Aileen Wuornos' first victim was Richard Mallory, and he was 51 years old. And he was actually a convicted rapist whom she claimed to have killed him in self-defense after he tried to rape her. And she killed him on November the 30th, 1989. 2 days after the murder, a Volusia County deputy sheriff found Mallory's abandoned car. On December the 13th, his body was found several miles away in a wooded area. He had been shot several times. 2 bullets to the left lung were found to have been the cause of his death. And it was this murder where Wuornos was initially condemned. And the next murder victim was David Spears. He was a 43-year-old man, and he was a construction worker in Winter Garden. On June 1st, 1990, his naked body was found along Florida State Road 19 in Citrus County. He had been shot 6 times. Now, 40-year-old Charles Cascadon had been killed on May 31st, 1990. He was a part-time rodeo worker. On June 6, 1990, his body was found in Pasco County. He had been shot 8 times with a .20 caliber weapon. The body had been wrapped in an electric blanket and the body was badly decomposing when found. Witnesses actually saw Wuornos in possession of his car, and Wuornos had also pawned a gun identifying belonging to this victim. 65-year-old Peter Abraham Sims was a retired merchant seaman who devoted much of his time to a Christian outreach ministry. In June 1990, Sims left Jupiter, Florida for Arkansas. On 4th July 1990, his car was found in Orange Springs, Florida. Wuornos and Muir were seen abandoning the car, and Wuornos' palm print was found on the interior door handle. Sadly, his body was never found. Troy Eugene Beres was a sausage salesman and he was 50 years old. On 31st July 1990, he was reported missing. On August 4th, 1990, his body was found in a wooded area along State Road 19 in Marion County. He had been shot twice. Charles Richard Dick Humphreys, he was 50 when he was killed in September 11th, 1990. He was a retired US Air Force Major, former state child abuse investigator, and former chief of police. On September 12, 1990, his body was found in Marion County. He was fully clothed and had been shot 6 times in the head and torso. His car was found in Suwannee County. 62-year-old Walter Gino Antonio was a trucker, a security guard, and police reservist. On November 19, 1990, Antonio's nearly naked body was found in a remote logging road in Dixie County, and he'd been shot 4 times. 5 days later, his body was found in Brevard County. Now I'm going to be talking about the apprehension and the sentencing of Aileen Wuornos. Witnesses had seen Wuornos and Muir driving the victims' cars, and they provided police with the names and descriptions, resulting in a media campaign to look for them. Police also found some of the victims' belongings in pawn shops and retrieved fingerprints belonging to Wuornos in the victims' cars. And as Wuornos had a criminal record in Florida, this is how we found her fingerprints on file. On January 9th, 1991, when Wuornos was at the Last Resort Bar, which is a biker bar in Volusia County, she was arrested as an outstanding warrant. I think they did try to set her up in a trap, so they had somebody like an informant, and they caught her that way. Police located Muir in Scranton, Pennsylvania the next day, and she agreed to obtain a confession from Wuornos in exchange for immunity from prosecution. The police had to stay in a motel in Florida, and there she was under police surveillance and guidance. She pleaded to Wuornos to help her clear her name, and this was over various phone calls. And just 3 days later, Wuornos confessed on January 16th, 1991. And here she claimed that the victims had raped her, tried to rape her, and she killed in self-defense. She did, however, say that it was all her. Miller had nothing to do with the crimes. Whether that was true, we don't really know, because it is believed that Wuornos did have contradicting stories and changed them as she chose. A year later, on January 14, 1992, Wuornos went to trial for the murder of Mallory. Although previous convictions are normally inadmissible in criminal trials, under Florida's Williams rule, the prosecution were allowed to introduce evidence related to her other crimes. So they were obviously very desperate to get this image of Aileen, use all this against her in the court. On January 27, 1992, Wuornos was convicted of Mallory's murder with help from Moore's testimony. At her sentencing, psychiatrists for the defence testified that Wuornos was mentally unstable and had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, and 4 days later she was sentenced to death. On March 31st, 1992, Wuornos pleaded no contest to the murders of Humphreys, Burress, and Spears.
I have made peace with my Lord, and I have asked forgiveness. I am sorry that my acts of self-defense ended up in court like this, but I take full responsibility for my actions. It was them or me. I am sorry for all the pain that my actions have caused. I am prepared to die if you say it is necessary.
Saying she wanted to get right with God. In her statement to the court, she said, in part, I wanted to confess to you that Richard Mallory did violently rape me as I told you, but these others did not. They all began to start to. On May 15, 1992, Wuornos was given 3 more death sentences. In June 1992, Wuornos pleaded guilty to the murder of Cascadon. In November 1992, she received her 5th death sentence. The defence tried to introduce evidence that Mallory had been tried for intent to commit rape in Maryland, and that he'd been committed to a maximum security correctional facility. Our records showed that he was committed during 1958 to 1962. However, judge refused this and denied requests for retrial for Wuornos. Now, some years later, at the time of the execution date, Wuornos refused her last meal, which could have been anything under $20, and she opted just for a cup of coffee instead. And her last words were, yes, I would like to say I'm sailing with the Rock and I'll be back, like Independence Day with Jesus. June the 6th, like the movie Big Mothership to All, I'll be back. And her execution date was October the 9th, 2002, and she was dead at 9:47 a.m. Aileen Wuornos was the 10th woman to be executed in the United States, and she was the 2nd woman to be executed in Florida since the reinstatement of capital punishment. I find Aileen Wuornos a very complex character, and she has had a horrible upbringing, if you can even call it that, with dealing with abandonment, violence, alcoholism, abuse. No one really cared, and she wasn't there was no care towards her. No, everybody just let her down. And she had a hatred for people, especially men, because none of them had treated her right. I'm not condoning her crimes because they are horrific. But I try and see the whole picture. And it's just a very, very sad and tragic life and case. People died. It's just horrific case. And that is all that I have for you today. If you have enjoyed this video, then give it a big thumbs up, click on the like below, and don't forget to share, because many of you out there who are interested in serial killers, and who knows who my next focus will be. Comment below of who you'd like to see. I do have a couple of ideas that I'd like to focus on, but I'd like to hear what you would like to see as well. And if you're new, don't forget to click on the subscribe button and click on the notification bell so you don't miss one video in the future. They will appear in your feed, I think. And thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye! Bye!